Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batter's Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batter's Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batter's Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Coming up next on Pit Pass, a very special edition live on scene Pit Pass. We've got a great one for you. We're going to visit with second generation drivers. Yes, I said drivers is in plural. We'll also talk to the current ARCA points leader and the guy who is one of three that owns the Highland Rim Speedway as that track gets set to start this Saturday. All that and more coming up next on Pit Pass.
Today's show is brought to you by locally owned and operated Highland Rim Speedway. Visit their website at highlandrim.com.
Talkapolis, the social media TV network for your city.
Well, welcome in everybody to Pit Pass. I'm Joe Williams on this special edition live from the Batter's Box. You know, Larry Woody and I have been telling you how good things are here. Said we'd bring you out and show you. Well, we'll show you some stuff, but you won't get to eat like we will. Now, speaking of eating, these guys have probably had a meal or two. We told you we were going to visit with second generation drivers, and that's exactly where we are as Daniel and Michael Bolden join us. Gentlemen, welcome to Pit Pass.
Oh, we're glad to be here.
Yeah, you can speak.
Oh, we're glad to be here.
You're the youngest, but you got to follow up here. You know, follow Big Brother's lead.
Yeah.
Fellas, you guys got started this weekend out at the fairgrounds, and a big weekend. You got 3 cars between the two of you. So how did it come out?
Oh, we fared pretty well in the super races. Our very first start in the new series, Southern Super Series, and we ended up 15th. Wasn't disappointed in it. Looking back, there were some things I could have done different in the car that might have brought us forward a little better. Maybe we got a top 10 finish, but I thought it was a great first showing. So,
hey, real quick, because you guys also ran the Pro Late Model race. Back up, we'll do this in correct order. So how did we wind up there? I mean, brother versus brother anyway.
I wound up pretty good. We were off all day, which surprised us really because we went down there a couple times and we were fast every time right off the bat. And we got down on the Friday in the open practice and junked. And junk all day Friday, junk all day Saturday. Finally got it fixed for second practice, and we were third fastest in the speed charts. And then qualifying just went out and just jumped. So we pulled the rear end after qualifying, thought we had the problems there, and obviously we didn't fix it. It ended up 11th, so we could have been a lot better. We could have been a lot worse too, though.
And your finish?
I don't even know where we finished. Claire called me today. I think we made 20 laps. We were having some motor issues, but Claire called me today and said that I won the $175 Hard Luck Award for a new pair of Dan Post boots.
Well, that's good. That'll work.
You get something out of a bad day, I reckon.
Hey guys, tell me the difference. We talk about the Southern Super Series and basically a quote super late model, and we now are talking in terms at local racing about super late models and pro late models versus the old late model stock cars. What's the biggest difference between a super late model and a pro late model?
It's all in the motor. Pro late models are crate motors. They make around about 450 horsepower. Super late model that we've got, they're all dry sump type motors. And we actually, that motor probably makes around 600. The chassis that I ran in the super late model is actually the same chassis that I plan to run for the rest of the races in the pro late model at Nashville. So we're just going to swap motors in and out, and we're looking to hit a few more of the Southern Super Series races, man. We really enjoyed that and like the super late model racing.
I guess then, cost-wise, what's the difference in the engines?
Cost-wise is a big difference. You go from having, really don't know how much a crate motor would be to having a $30,000 super motor. So cost-wise, it's a big difference.
Probably 10 to 30.
So, but you can take the same chassis and do it.
Same exact chassis that I ran last year in the pro late models, and same one that I plan to run this year in the pros.
So I guess that's what's always amazed me is just how you can take an engine room and make that big a difference. The idea of the crate motor, in case you haven't been around for a while, the idea behind the crate motor was almost a generic motor. Everybody had basically the same thing. They should produce the same horsepower. They should last the same amount of time, blah, blah, blah. Some issues that had to be worked out on that. Seemed to me, though, like a great idea. But as great as that idea might have been, we've now seen the reversion back to what we used to call almost open motors.
Yes, sir. There's definitely some guys that have got into the crate motors and they're beating them. But Tony Formosa and all the guys down there at the fairgrounds last year did a great job at policing the crate motors, and I think they got on a level playing field motor-wise. The big problem last year with pro cars was people getting around the chip in the ignition boxes, and they corrected that issue by going to the crane cams ignition box, and it's been good. I don't think people are beating it like they were last year.
You know, it's one of the things that we've talked about, Larry, Woody, and I, on the Sprint Cup level, is that one of the things that, and I know as a racer you're not going to want to hear this, but from a fan standpoint is that's hurt some of the drama, if you will, is the equipment has gotten so good. Rev limiting chips. Hey, I can't over rev it and blow this thing up. But on that level, just the almost bulletproof work that they've done. Now that they've gone to the electronic ignition, it's a little bit different. But nobody brakes like they used to, if you know what I'm saying. You could have three guys racing really hard and it was a great race, and you kind of sat on the edge of your seat because they may touch, they may rub, but something might break. An engine might blow, something might break. It doesn't happen much anymore.
No, sir, it doesn't, and I think it's a testament to the cars. You look at the drivers back in the day, you had the big burly guys that went out there and muscled a car until it broke. Now I think that the drivers are going to break down before the cars are, and that's why you see the guys that are going into the fitness. You look at the guys at a couple levels like Jimmy Johnson and them. Those guys are pure athletes. I mean, they're as good a shape as anybody playing baseball or football or any of those sports. So I think now the drivers break down before the cars do.
Well, it maybe, how do I put this? There's a perception sometimes amongst those of us who've been around a little longer.
Yeah.
I don't want to say old yet, but we remember the first power steering. Oh my goodness. I mean, you actually get power steering? The coal boxes, the whole 9 yards. My biggest thing has always been the power steering, because exactly what you said. You know, you used to have to be the big burly guy. You had to have the shoulders, the arms, the upper body strength to maneuver that car. Now, I mean, you see drivers, I mean, we saw Bobby Hamilton one time just one finger the thing through the corners because it handles it well and had power steering. Just those kind of advancements. Is it easier on you?
It makes it a lot easier on you because I know Daniel's drove one too whenever we do a plug check. When you go in the corner after do a plug check having no power steering, you gotta drive the thing. And I can't imagine how those guys, you had to be like Daniel said, a big burly dude to be able to drive one of those things, because you go in a corner 130 mile an hour with no power steering, you gotta muscle that car around. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier on us because, like you said, we don't have to put as much effort into it. We can focus more on driving the car instead of having to actually turn the car.
Yeah, and it helps you last a little longer from a stamina perspective. Now, we told the folks these are second generation drivers. Their dad, Ricky Bolden, has several track titles at Nashville. We were talking about a couple of them earlier tonight. Any pressure? I mean, first son, you know, any pressure?
The pressure's there, but you know, my dad really doesn't put that kind of pressure on us. He pushes us to be as good as we can be, and he pushes us hard, but he doesn't put the pressure on you. It's a family deal. He's just taking a step from driving the car to crew chiefing the car and spotting, and I mean, he does a great job of what he's doing. He's actually one wishing he'd get well soon. He's just had shoulder surgery yesterday,
yeah.
So he's laid up on the couch right now with the ice machine going. So hopefully he'll be back going soon, and we'll have him back at the racetrack.
Now, Michael, it's doubly tough on you. I mean, Dad was a racer. Now you got older brothers sitting over here. You know, from the outside, do you see it that way? Do you feel that pressure?
Really, it's like Daniel said, the pressure's there, but it's more of a help to me than it's anything, because Daniel's been racing since 2002, and I started racing in 2005. And of course, Dad is countless years in go-karts and minis and late models. I have twice the help that Daniel has. Of course, me and Daniel, we help each other out whenever we can, but I have twice the guys to help me and coach me around, because they've been around racing a lot longer than I have.
Last question for you. Coming down the end of the race, take your pick. One's leading, one's second. One in second's faster, but You're going to have to put it to him to get around him.
There's no doubt we're going to put it to him.
You're going to turn him?
We wouldn't turn him, but we definitely move one another. It wouldn't come down to the position of us wrecking one another, but if it took to where I had to put the bumper to Daniel to move him out of the way, and I know Daniel did the same way, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Daniel noticed he didn't hesitate on that. Did you catch that? No, he didn't hesitate a bit. He was like, yeah, I won't turn him, but I'll put the bumper on him.
Yeah, that's what, I direct him hard. Wouldn't want to wreck him because, one, we got to put up with my mom and dad the rest of the week if we tear the cars up. Yeah. And like you said, we help one another. We work on each other's cars, and I try to use my feedback to help Michael's car, and then I try to take some of his feedback to help mine. So we actually finished second and third last year, and I was the guy that finished second. So we've got a really cool picture where I'm nosed under Willie and Michael's nosed under me. We're just about 3 wide, so it's really neat.
Doesn't let you forget, though, that he does it.
Yeah, he'll bring that up until I beat him. I beat him this weekend, so I guess he really can't be saying that much.
So now you're even?
Not yet, because I finished 11th. That's not as good as where he finished. Right?
No. All right. Well, ding, ding, gentlemen, go to your corners. We'll come back and do this again. Next event for you?
May 4th. We're gonna go to Nashville. We looked to do the Southern Super Series race in Gresham, but gonna give my dad a little time to heal up. And before we head out, we got to thank all our sponsors: Panama City Beach, Regional Ambulance, Bubba Russell, Russell Auto Care, all the guys at Dubsy Radiators. Man, I run strips of tape on the supercar the other night and never saw the water temperature above 180. They're great.
Wow.
Scooter Town, B&B Truck Parts and Service, and all those guys are great.
Culvers.
Yeah, Culvers. We just picked them up. I didn't even remember that, but we just picked them up. So if you're in need of a good hamburger in Murfreesboro, that's the place to go.
That's in Murfreesboro. Tonight
Yes,
we're in Nashville.
Well, next time we can be at Culvers.
Well,
and then we can maybe go to Panama City Beach. How far?
I like that thought better than anything else I've heard. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it.
Michael and Daniel Bolden. There for a second. It's been too long a day. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the leader in the ARCA Point Series will be joining us. That's right, Brentwood's own Mason Mingus. Coming up next on Pit Pass.
From the family grocery hauler to fire-breathing racing engines, the one name you need to know is USA Motor and Machine, located at 51 Cleveland Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-726-3725 or at usamotorandmachine.com.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Pit Pass. I'm Joe Williams, and joining me for our second segment is not Larry Woody. We missed Larry. Larry will be back soon. He's been taking a little time off. Also, I want to say hello to my old friend Russ Thompson real quick. Russ, little medical surgery yesterday, but things came out very well, and talked to him a little bit earlier. He seems to be doing pretty good. And Russ, we want you to get well soon. Come on back and join us again on Pit Pass to share the rest of the history, because Russ Thompson is a walking, talking, racing encyclopedia. I keep telling him he's got to do the book. And he says, well, maybe someday. I think we're going to have to hold a gun on him and make him do it. Joining us for this segment, we'll go over in the far corner there, Buddy Williams, one of the owners at Highland Rim Speedway. Buddy, good to have you back.
Thank you for having me. Another fill-in for Woodrow. I'm kind of getting used to this.
Maybe
Woodrow will take a long extended absence. I kind of like this. I can't fill his shoes, but I can hold his seat down.
You keep the seat in place.
I keep his seat in place.
And also with us here at the Batter's Box on Hermitage Avenue, the current points leader in the ARCA Racing Series, Mason Mingus. Mason, it's not your first visit with us, but it's your first visit as the points leader in ARCA. Congratulations, big guy.
Thank you. It's good to come back with some good news, I guess.
Now, in case you don't know, Mason is actually tied. And it's kind of an interesting story, buddy, because he's tied with 9-time ARCA champion Frank Kimmel. So you talk about this symbolic passing of the torch. It could very well be happening this year.
Hometown boy makes good. It's wonderful to have one of our local people that achieves that kind of fame. Kimmel has been around forever, and Mason's tied with him. Good going.
Thank you.
Now, Grant, you're only 2 races in. Second race of the year, you went down to Mobile, Alabama, and for the first time in your ARCA career, you sat on the pole.
Yes, sir. We had a good car all weekend, but sitting on the pole was still a little bit of a surprise. There's some guys that have made a lot of laps on the track still to qualify right after us, and we were able to hang on to it.
What did you think of the track?
I love Mobile. That was the second time I've been there. I ran there in ARCA car last year. Didn't have quite as much success, but just kind of still getting used to it. But this year it was awesome, and we actually went down for a test and didn't get to make too many laps due to motor problems. So they got it all put back together, and we came down with a great car. We unloaded top 5 all day in practice, and then we're able to sit on the pole. So that track was even funner to race on than it was to qualify on.
I was gonna say high banked, and I mean they put walls in now. There are now walls around the corners.
No,
they did not.
They
put
just
walls
have a
in.
wall on the front stretch, and then the back stretch wall is about 20 feet off the track. So there's no walls around 1 and 2 and 3
Oh,
and 4.
good. And I can tell you the story of watching Ronnie Sanders in what we would call a pro late model going off the end of turn 1. Jody Ridley had spun, apparently Boston engine, as I recall, and had come to a stop, nose up, just at the edge of the racetrack or a little below it. Ronnie Sanders got caught in the oil, went up over Jody, and came down on the other side.
Goodness.
And we thought, oh my gosh, where is it? Next thing we know, he's coming right back around the back straightaway, getting back on the racetrack. Craziest place I've ever seen, but it's a fun place to watch, and apparently a good place to race.
It is. I mean, it's got a good 2 grooves of racing, and we actually saw a lot of people go off the racetrack that weekend while we were there. There was 2 people just in qualifying that did it, and if there were walls there would have been a lot of torn up race cars.
Oh yes. Did you ever get close?
I didn't get close this year. I went over it last year.
Oh, you did?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was didn't qualify well there last year. Qualified 28th and was worked our way up and was running 3rd and missed a shift. And it was my first ARCA start, and got shuffled back a little bit, and somebody sent me off the racetrack. But I did the same thing, pulled around and finished the race.
That's got it's got to be a strange feeling from the driver's perspective. I mean, you got a car with 4 wheels that are supposed to be on the ground, and at some point they're not.
You're flying.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It doesn't feel too good when the wheels get off the asphalt, and especially because the banking's built up there. The racetrack isn't dug down, so you're going down a slope sideways. It was pretty scary.
Reminds me, Mike Alexander told me once after a big race at Nashville, he wound up on his lid. He said, I did learn one thing, and you learned it in the air. I said, what's that? He said, no matter how hard you stand on the brakes, if you're upside down, they don't work.
Okay, blow it up.
And no matter how hard you stand on the brakes, if you're flying through the air, they don't work. So what's it feel like to be an ARCA points leader?
Well, I mean, we're still only 2 races
I
on
know,
the season.
but this is good stuff.
But no, it's awesome, and especially to be tied to somebody like Frank Kimmel. But hopefully we're going to be able to show him what's up at Salem at his home track. I've had some success there at Salem, so it's definitely exciting to be the points leader. And I think with the guys that we have on our race team and my crew chief Mark Rett, and the car that we took to Salem, we're going to be able to take to most of the racetracks and short tracks all over throughout the season. So I think we're going to be able to hang on to it. I've got a good feeling.
How do you and Frank Kimmel get along?
I love Frank Kimmel. He's helped me a ton. We drafted together for a long time at Daytona, and we both worked our way back up from the back of the field at Daytona. So he's been a huge help to me all last year and giving me pointers. He's never shied away from that.
So that's one thing a lot of folks don't know about Frank is he just as soon help the young folks and pull them along. He understands where he is and how he got there, and he didn't do it by himself.
Elder statesman.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Give the young guys, teach them, help them, tutor them, because you guys are the next up and coming people in the division.
Now, I bet you when you go to Salem, he'll have plenty of advice for you, but you know he's not going to tell you everything.
Oh,
right?
No, he's not going to give me the big secrets, but I've had some laps there too, and I feel pretty confident going in there. That's one of my favorite racetracks to go to.
Tell us about the track. Well, it's how long is it? What's the banking like?
It's a half mile. The banking, I'm not sure the number, the degrees of banking, but it's one of the most banked tracks that we go to. It's right up there with Winchester, and there's no way to compare Salem to any other racetrack. People say it's like Winchester, but it's a whole other animal of its own. You run at the top of the banking right next to the outside wall in turn 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 you're at the bottom of the racetrack, and so it's completely different.
Like running an egg, kind of like the old Rockingham, yeah.
Yes, sir.
It does have a wall all the way around.
It does have a wall all the way around. It doesn't feel good when you get into that wall, I'd say. Luckily, I haven't. Well, I did it there, I guess, once, but no, I haven't. Last year we had 2 good runs there in an ARCA car, and so I'm looking forward to going back there. I won a Kit 10 race there in a late model, and my late model crew chief was ran late models there for probably 10 years or more, won a bunch of track champions there with his brother in the car driving. So I got a little heads up on a lot of people when we went there with the late model.
He's got his own little secret for Frank, is what it sounds like.
Oh, they ran against Frank Kimmel for years. They
Yeah.
battled each other there all the time.
Yeah, he got a little say. Yeah, okay, it works both ways, as we find out, buddy. So let's see. Next race is at Salem. When's the next? I mean, how many ARCA races are there this year?
There's 21 ARCA races
21.
on the schedule.
Okay.
Salem will be number 3, and then Talladega comes up right after that, May 3rd. We've been trying to run some late model races here and there. We ran at the fairgrounds this weekend,
Right.
and we decided yesterday when I was in North Carolina. I was talking to some guys from the Wintron team that help us on our late model stuff a lot, and we decided to go run Toledo with the ARCA Midwest Tour.
Oh, that'll be an interesting run. Toledo's not a bad little racetrack.
It isn't. I've only been there once. It was in the ARCA car last year, so we're hoping Toledo in a late model will give us a good precursor to ARCA race.
They still go to Springfield race on the dirt?
Springfield and DeCoin. I ran
Ooh.
Springfield last year, and DeCoin rained out.
What did you think about the dirt?
It was interesting. I'd never been to a dirt race before in my life. Never even been there to watch one.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do it. Just never something that we ventured into. But I sat there and watched the USAC race the night before. That was the first dirt experience I got. But I actually talked to Will Kimmel a little bit the day of the race. We only had an hour of practice before qualifying. And so
That was your first experience on dirt. He got a whole hour to practice before he had to go qualify.
yeah, he gave me a crash course on what to do. And one of our team owners, Nate Thesey, was a dirt racer when he raced. So he was good. He was on the radio with me the whole day during practice, or the whole hour, I guess. But we got to speed really quick. They brought a really good car there, and I stayed in the top 10 in practice all day, never being on dirt. And there were a lot of dirt guys that came just to get in the ARCA race for those races.
I was just say that I guess that's the one thing, buddy, that's always bothered me a little bit about ARCA, is as much as we talk about some of the Cup guys being interlopers on the Nationwide Series, ARCA regulars always face what I'll call hired guns to an extent, or folks who just come in for one event. They'll come in for the Daytonas and the Talladegas, and try to move everybody out of the way. You'll have a couple of dirt experts, if you will, who'll come run the dirt races. How do you prepare for that?
Well, I mean, this will be my second time even facing any of that, really. But I mean, you get the same thing in super late model, pro late model races. When you go if you're running in a touring series, they go, to multiple racetracks. You get the local guys. But last year, I mean, they had people come out that have been dirt racing, that have been road course racing, and they come out to run those tracks. But for the most part, the normal guys in the ARCA series, they usually would still run better than those guys, just because for a lot of them they've run dirt, but they've never run a full body stock car, 3,400-pound stock car on dirt. It's a lot different than running an open wheel midget or something.
1,500 pounds, a big difference there. Kind of like the big difference between you and me, but we're not going to go there at the moment. I want to thank you for coming in tonight.
No, thank you.
Good
for having
luck.
me.
You
Thank
ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And all of us local guys will be pulling for you. Everybody will be on your side.
Thank you.
We
I appreciate
love it
that.
when the local guys do good and get out there and make us all proud.
We need all the support we can get.
Well, I guarantee you there's a bunch of it from right here in Middle Tennessee for you. Mason Mingus, our guest on Pit Pass. When we come back, we'll wrap up this special edition from the Batter's Box. That's next. You're on Pit Pass.
Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batter's Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batter's Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batter's Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pit Pass, a special edition from the Batter's Box here on Hermitage Avenue. And we're out literally enjoying this gorgeous night, as you could be too. Dinner's coming up, I think. Dinner's coming in a few minutes, but what a gorgeous view. That is not something that's been superimposed behind us. That is downtown Nashville, Tennessee, and just over the bridge that you see there between my two guests is, that's where you get to the best little part of Nashville. We call it East Nashville, but it's still, is that dinner? This is
Goodness.
This is what we'll be having a little bit later.
I was about to say, it's
No.
a shame that this isn't smell-o-vision.
Boy,
because
that's the
those
truth.
steaks are smelling
They're
great.
smelling good. Here in our final segment, we brought Buddy Williams back from Highland Rim. You guys are going to open up this weekend.
Yes, we are. We've got our opening day. We've looked so forward to this all year long. It's going to be a big event. We've got 9 divisions, and we are going to show you some action.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I was up this past week for your practice and media day and saw some interesting things. I guess the 2 things that I really took away from there, one is James Clymer can still drive a race car.
He's a wheel man.
He can drive a race car. And if I'm in the division with Wayne White, I'm a little bit worried because I asked Wayne, I said, so what do you got to do this week? He said, jack stands.
White was fast.
He was
super
quick
fast.
Saturday. So it should be a great Saturday night. Go start racing at 4.
Yes, we are. Going to start racing at 4. Going to have, like we say, 9 divisions. We're going to have some entertainment for the children. We've got the bouncy kids and got all kinds of things going on for the fans in the crowd. We're gonna have James Clymer's '55 Chevrolet ride-along car. Now that takes a brave man to climb in with Clymer and ride.
Amen. Especially with everything that goes with that.
Yes, it is. The 80 years of experience and
Conversation.
conversation with him.
Really.
Yeah.
Now, our special guest for our final segment sits in the middle. Speaking of Highland Rim, a guy who has dominated that particular racetrack in more ways than one, and that is Bobby Joe Rippey. And Bobby, welcome in.
Oh, thank you.
You're going to play with us now, right?
I was
you're in the
looking
game.
at Terrell's giving me signals. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the game. Thank
You're
you.
in the game now.
Glad
Got
to
your
be
head in the
here.
game.
Yes, sir. Glad to
Another
be
one of
here.
our East Nashville boys.
I got to get on him and get on him quick. I mean,
Yes.
he brought Bubba Barber out on me a minute ago. I mean, I haven't seen Bubba since, well, that's another story.
Yeah.
Bobby, you had a good weekend this weekend, not at the Rim, but down at the fairgrounds.
Yes, sir. That's my home track, and I try every time I go down there. I try to give it 110%. That's what it requires to win down there. As a matter of fact, in racing these days, it takes 110% to try to win anywhere. So I was extremely pleased with the outcome of all my hard work and efforts over the last couple of months to upgrade the car and bring it up to par. Last year, I kind of, I won't say I was slacking, but the other guys kind of caught up to me last year, so I figured I better hit another gear this year. And
In other words, there were a couple of races he didn't win. So,
Yes.
tell the truth.
Out of the total.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed myself. It was a big night for the Fairground Speedway Nashville the other night. Just an unbelievable crowd, the atmosphere, the hype. It was like the old days of the Fairground Speedway, Joe, in the mid 80s and then again in the mid 90s when we had promoters that actually wanted the fairgrounds to do well, as Mr. Formosa does, and that's what it takes. It takes good communication there.
After your win, every driver that wins gets interviewed.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks, they roll into their sponsors and all that. You did something a little bit different.
This was
Saturday
a
night.
special night for
Yes,
you, Bobby.
it was a very
special
special
night.
We've lost people. You lose people every day. It's part of life. But we lost some very special people lately. Mr. Albert Gardner, my boss and my best friend for the last 15 years, Gardner Floor Service. He passed on. He fought a very courageous battle with cancer, and of course, we didn't come out on the best end of the deal, but Albert did come out on the best end of the deal because he's with the Lord now, and he's not in any more pain. So, and the other one was my friend Dwayne Watkins, longtime racing enthusiast in Middle Tennessee here. I grew up with him and my dad and a guy that he used to hang around, an old timer named Gene Helms. That's how I got hooked up with him.
Yep.
And that's it. We've just been longtime friends, and it's hard to let go of stuff like that. When you've grown up with them and frequented the track every weekend of your life. So, and the other one that I really want to dedicate to today, it would have been my little sister's 48th birthday. My little sister April, my #1 fan in the world, never missed any races, but she's also in a better place today with the Lord. So, it makes it a lot easier there.
It has been a tough off season for a lot of folks.
Yes, it has. Mr. Gardner, in particular, to me, he was the type of gentleman that if he didn't know you, and he knew you needed something, I promise you, you would get what you needed, and you wouldn't even know where it come from. He would make sure that you had what you needed.
He
I've saw it on
sponsored a lot of cars.
so many occasions that we were out in public, and it wasn't even about us. You know, if he saw somebody that he thought needed something worse than us, well, then that's what happened. Instead of us going and doing what we were doing, that's just the kind of gentleman he was. And if it wasn't for him, a few years back, of course, when I was going through a rough time in my life, Mr. Gardner practically pretty much saved my life. You know, and that's something I'll always be indebted to him for. You know, and there's more people like Albert Gardner in the world, much less the racing world, racing fraternity. I mean, in life in general, this world will be a lot better place. You know, he's going to be sadly missed by a lot of people.
Pretty powerful statement there.
Yeah.
Powerful statement. Bobby Joe can win on any Saturday night, but to win on a Saturday night and dedicate it to his former boss and friends and Big Dwayne. Big Dwayne was part of our racing fraternity. His son races with us, and he'll be sadly missed. We had just built them a motor, and 2 days later, Big Dwayne's dead, and nobody can understand how can this be. He's in a better place.
Absolutely. He wasn't in the best of health either.
Yeah.
So I guess the Lord saw it time to call him home.
What is it, guys, about this sport that brings people from different backgrounds, different economic situations, different social situations, just a complete across the board? I mean, you want to talk about diversity and backgrounds and history, but what is it about the sports that brings all these people together into this fraternity? I like that term. Into this fraternity where you become a family, and I'm just as likely to rail at you today and be mad. And if something were to happen in the next 10 minutes, I'd be one of the first ones there trying to help you get up.
That's it.
What is it?
That's exactly the way it works. It's a sense of family.
It is.
You could be rubbing paint with a guy 1 minute, and the next minute go down there and let me help you with that tire that I busted on the track for you. And it's just, everyone is like a large family. Yeah. Everyone gets along for the most part. Everyone helps one another, and everyone looks after one another. And it's just like you have a ton of brothers and sisters out there in the racing community.
You know, and I guess the thing that and we don't talk about this a whole lot all the time. This gets a little heavy, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it. One of the things that always got me was it extended not just to the racers, not just to the crews, but on a local level, it extends to, on every level, it extends to officials, but especially on the local level, it extends to the fans in the stands, who may never, in their wildest dreams, get in a race car, may never in their wildest dreams be in a position to help a racer in any way, but the racers still accept them, and they're still a part of that group.
That's right.
What about this sport brings that to happen?
Well, for me personally, when I walk through the stands and I can't get from one end to the other without 400 people wanting to stop and talk to me and pat me on the back, I mean, that's a feeling like you just don't get every day. Somebody that actually appreciates what you're doing, that you like to do anyway. So you got a double bonus there, you know. And I try to go through and I try to see as many people as I can and do autographs and pictures and whatever the fans want. Because without those fans, without them people that was in those stands out there tonight, we don't have anything. We have nothing.
That's what makes our sport.
That's it.
The fans that are there. Without that, we'd be just a bunch of guys out there going in circles, getting nowhere fast. But we do have people that appreciate what we do, and people that they want to live their life through Bobby. I'm in the stands, and if old Bobby Joe could drive that car, I'm a Bobby Joe fan, and I want to be just like him. So it's a real sense of family.
You know, I think that may be the perfect place to end this segment in this show, guys. That's it's about as heavy as we've been on Pit Pass, but that's a pretty good little explanation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here, Bobby Joe,
and
thank you for having me, Joe.
Buddy.
And I'd like to leave with my tagline: "Come to Highland Rim for the excitement. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge."
And you'll find that out for sure this weekend as action starts. Just go up I-65 north to the Bethel Road exit. Follow the signs. The Highland Rim Speedway racing starts at 4 o'clock, 9 divisions.
9 divisions.
I'm going to go up myself this weekend. We're going to have a good time. We always have a good time on Pit Pass. I want to thank you for joining us, for Bobby Joe and the Bolden Brothers and Mason and Buddy. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on Pit Pass.
Let's eat some steak.